Join me as I dive deep into the mystery of the Somerton Man and see if I can uncover the truth behind his identity. His body was found on a quiet Australian beach. No wounds, no ID, just a cryptic note and a perfectly pressed suit. Who was he? And why has no one come forward after more than 70 years? December 1st, 1948. The sun had barely begun to rise over Somerton Beach, a coastal stretch near Adelaide, Australia. A man's body lay slumped against the seawall, legs extended neatly, arms folded by his sides. To some, he looked asleep, peaceful. But the truth was far more sinister, and it would ignite one of the most confounding, unsolved mysteries in the world. This is the story of the Somerton Man, a mystery that has haunted generations, baffled police, spawned conspiracy theories, and remained unsolved for decades. If you're drawn to real unsolved crimes, unexplained disappearances, secret spy activity, and eerie historical cold cases, you won't want to miss this. It all started with a beachgoer's call to local authorities just after 6:30 a.m. There's a man lying on the sand. He's not moving. I think he might be dead. Police arrived quickly. The man appeared to be in his 40s, clean-shaven, well-dressed in a suit and tie, odd attire for the beach. His shoes were polished, his hands showed no signs of struggle, and there were no visible injuries. It didn't look like a robbery either. In fact, nothing seemed out of place. But that was the first strange detail in a case full of them. The man had no wallet, no identification, no hat, and not a single label in his clothes. Every tag had been carefully removed. Even stranger, in a hidden fob pocket of his pants, investigators found a tightly rolled piece of paper with two haunting Persian words typed on it, Taman Shud. Translated, it means ended or finished. A final message? A suicide note? Or a spy's calling card? Detective Sergeant Lionel Lean stood beside the body, puzzled. It's like he just appeared out of nowhere, he said. The note, the clean suit, the missing labels. It all suggested intention, planning, maybe even a cover-up. They brought the body to the city morgue. The man's appearance was described as Caucasian, around 5 feet 11 inches, with broad shoulders, hazel eyes, and graying reddish-blonde hair. His hands were uncalloused, his legs athletic, hinting at a man who had perhaps been a dancer or runner. There was no sign of violence, but one thing stood out. The spleen was unusually enlarged, and the stomach contained blood. The coroner believed poison was the likely cause of death, but no traces of any known substances were found. The final report? Death by unknown causes. A fingerprint scan yielded no results. Posters were distributed across Australia, even internationally. No one stepped forward. No one recognized him. It was as if this man had simply never existed. Soon, the public began to speculate. Could he have been a foreign spy? A wartime operative caught in Cold War espionage? The timing fit. 1948 was a year of rising global tensions. Theories flourished. The mystery was already gripping headlines and dominating radio broadcasts. Then came the second major twist. 6 weeks after the man's death, a suitcase was discovered at Adelaide railway station. It had been checked in the day before the body was found, on November 30th. Inside were everyday items, pajamas, slippers, shaving gear, and clothing. But again, all labels had been removed or carefully scrubbed out. Except for one. A name. But investigators were skeptical. The name Keane only appeared on a single tie and one laundry bag, and no missing person named Keane had been reported. Was it a decoy? A plant? A mistake? In the suitcase, police also found a pair of scissors sharpened unusually, a stenciling brush used by merchant mariners, and a thread not available in Australia, a rare orange waxed thread that had been used to repair the man's pants. This particular thread was only manufactured in the United States. Now suspicion mounted. Was this man an American spy? As detectives retraced the man's last known movements, a new lead emerged. They discovered he had likely taken a train to Adelaide from another city, perhaps Melbourne. For what? And for what purpose? Meanwhile, investigators turned their attention to the tiny slip of paper, Taman Shud. After searching local libraries, a connection was found. The words came from a rare edition of a book called the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a collection of Persian poetry that often touches on life, death, and fate. Detective Lean made a public appeal, and astonishingly, a man came forward. He claimed to have found a copy of the Rubaiyat tossed into the back seat of his unlocked car, just after the man's body was discovered. Inside that book, the torn-out spot from which Taman Shud had been removed. It matched perfectly, but there was more. On the inside back cover, written in faint ink, was a sequence of letters, 5 lines of what looked like a coded message. It appeared to be a cipher. Intelligence officers and cryptographers, including those from the Australian Navy, tried to crack it. They failed. The code, if that's what it was, remains unbroken to this day. And still, there was another lead. A local nurse, known only as Justin, came forward after her unlisted phone number was found in the back of that very same book. When shown the plaster cast of the Somerton man's face, she was said to have gone pale, nearly fainting. "I don't know him," she insisted, but her reaction said otherwise. Justin, whose real name was later revealed to be Jessica Thompson, lived just a few blocks from where the man was found. She denied knowing him, but records show she had once gifted a copy of the Rubaiyat to a man named Alf Boxall, a man she knew well during World War II. Could the Somerton man have been Boxall? Investigators raced to find Boxall, expecting a second corpse. But to their shock, he was alive and well, living in Sydney. He still had the copy of the Rubaiyat Jessica had given him, and it was intact without the missing phrase. The Somerton man was not Boxall. So who was he? Years passed. Leads dried up. The Somerton man was buried under a simple gravestone. Here lies the unknown man found at Somerton Beach, December 1, 1948. But questions still lingered. Some claimed he was a Russian spy. Others believed he'd been poisoned with an untraceable compound. Some speculated he was involved in an affair with Jessica Thompson and had come to see her, only to be rejected and end his life. Then, decades later, a stunning new theory surfaced. In the early 2000s, a retired Australian detective named Jerry Feltus reopened the case and tracked down Jessica Thompson's son, Robin. What he found was compelling. Robin bore striking physical similarities to the Somerton man. His distinctive ears, a rare dental trait involving missing lateral incisors, and a similar build. Even more suspicious? Robin had grown up never knowing who his father was. The implication? The Somerton man may have fathered a child with Jessica Thompson. Was this the true motive behind his appearance in Adelaide? A meeting gone wrong? A long-lost love story with a tragic end? In 2022, after years of campaigning, a team led by Professor Derek Abbott from the University of Adelaide exhumed the Somerton man's body. Their goal? Extract viable DNA. Using advanced forensic genealogy, similar to the technique that caught the Golden State Killer, Abbott and his team eventually announced a possible identity. Carl Charles Webb, an electrical engineer from Melbourne, born in 1905, who disappeared in 1947. They connected Webb's DNA to living relatives. Webb was married but had separated from his wife, and records suggest he may have been mentally unstable. But why he ended up dead on a beach in Adelaide remains a chilling unknown. Even with a name, the mystery is far from solved. The code? Still undeciphered. The cause of death? Still uncertain. His connection to Jessica Thompson? Still unexplained. The Somerton man remains one of the world's most mysterious cold cases, a perfect storm of unsolved identity, spy intrigue, and haunting clues that refuse to yield. His story continues to draw amateur sleuths, DNA detectives, journalists, and true crime fans from around the world, each desperate to solve the puzzle, each hoping to finally bring closure to the man who washed up alone, unidentified, and seemingly erased from existence. As one retired officer once said, "We know everything, and yet we know nothing." And maybe that's the most terrifying part. This case reminds us that even in our hyper-connected world, with all its data and surveillance, a person can still vanish, completely off the grid. Sometimes, the biggest questions come not from violence or chaos, but from quiet, untraceable disappearance. The kind that haunts a nation for decades. This has been another chilling mystery from Crimebot Chronicles, where true crime meets the unexplained. If you're fascinated by unsolved crimes, cold case investigations, forensic breakthroughs, and mysterious deaths that make your spine tingle, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Hit that like button if the story of the Somerton Man gave you chills, and don't forget to share this video with your fellow true crime lovers. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What do you think happened to the Somerton Man? Spy? Tragedy? Something even stranger? Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.